Hi, and welcome back to my channel. In today's tutorial, I will show you how to crochet step by step this unique floral inspired blanket, where each granny square is designed to resemble a blossoming spring flower, bringing a burst of color and texture to the traditional granny square blanket. You can crochet along with me, but if you prefer, you can also get the written pattern in my Etsy shop, and I will leave the link in the description down below. We're going to start our flower by making a magic ring, and we're gonna do 2 chains. And these 2 chains don't count as a stitch. And then we are going to work 12 double crochet into the ring. Remember, for all my patterns, I'm using American terms, but if you prefer UK terms, a double crochet is a treble crochet in UK terms. So I'm gonna go ahead and work 12 double crochet into the ring, and I'll meet you at the end. Here I have my 12 double crochet all into the ring, so I'm gonna pull the yarn tail to close the ring, and I'm gonna locate the first double crochet from the round, and I'm gonna close this round by making a slip stitch to the first double crochet. And this is our first round completed. Then I'm gonna change one. This is only to secure the round, and I'm gonna cut the yarn. Now I'm gonna bring my second color, and I'm gonna start round number 2 by attaching this color to any double crochet from the previous round. And I always like attaching the new yarn by making a knot, so I make sure the yarn won't unravel. And then I'm gonna make 3 chains, and I'm gonna miss 1 stitch, and I'm gonna make 1 slip stitch into the next space. So I'm gonna make 3 chains, miss that next stitch, and then I'm gonna make 1 slip stitch into the following one. And I'm gonna repeat this sequence 6 times until I have 6 arches in total. I am working the last 3 chains of the round, and then I'm gonna slip stitch into the initial 3 chains from the round. So now here I have the 6 arches from round number 2. So here you can count the arches or the spaces, and we have the 6 of them separated by a slip stitch. To start round number 3, we're going to move with a slip stitch to the next chain space. And we're gonna change 4. And then we're gonna work 5 treble into that same space. And for making a treble crochet, you're going to wrap the yarn around your hook 2 times. You're going to insert your hook and yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through again, and yarn over and pull through one more time. And this is your treble crochet. A treble crochet is taller than a double crochet, and remember that I'm using American terms, so make sure you're not confusing them with any stitches in the UK terminology. Now I'm making the last treble of the sequence, and I'm gonna count and make sure I have 5 treble crochet, and then I'm gonna finish this petal by making 4 chains, and I'm gonna make a slip stitch into that same chain space. And then here is the first petal. So the first petal and each petal is gonna be 4 chains, 5 treble, and 4 chains. And then I'm gonna repeat this in every space. So I'm gonna make another slip stitch into the next chain, and I'm gonna start this sequence again. So I'm gonna make 4 chains, and then I'm gonna start making 5 treble crochet as I did before. And after I have my 5 treble in that space, I'm gonna make 4 chains. And then I'm gonna make 1 slip stitch into that same space, and that's another petal finished. And I'm gonna repeat this sequence in each arch or space. Here I'm working the last petal of the round, and to finish, I'm just gonna finish with a slip stitch into the same space, and I'm not gonna make that slip stitch into the next arch because there's no more arches. And here I have my 6 petals done. Now we're going to start round number 3. And for this round, we're going to work on the leftover stitches from round number 1, which are the stitches that we missed. So I'm gonna make a slip stitch into that first stitch that I missed from round number 1, and I'm gonna work 3 chains, and I'm gonna work 3 double crochet into that same space to start creating a small petal. And this is what is gonna create the 3D effect on our flowers. And then I'm gonna work 3 chains again, and I'm gonna make 1 slip stitch into the same space. And this is the petal created. And then I'm gonna repeat this all along our flower. So I'm gonna go to the next leftover stitch or stitch that we missed before, and I'm gonna repeat that sequence. So I'm gonna make 3 chains, and I'm gonna do 3 double crochet all into the same space, and I'm gonna work 3 chains and make 1 slip stitch into the same space. So we're going to repeat this all along. So to start the next petal, I'm going to go to the next stitch and make a slip stitch into there. And this is how I'm gonna work this round. So by the end of the round, I should have 6 petals in total. Here I'm working the last petal of the round. So I'm gonna make 1 slip stitch into that same space. And to finish the flower, I'm gonna make another slip stitch into the initial 3 chain from round number 3. And now this is the flower completed. You should have 6 petals at the front of the previous petals to create that 3D effect. And now we're going to weave in the ends to make sure our flowers look perfect. And I would recommend weaving in the ends after you finish each flower to make sure you don't have a lot of work at the end of your project. And make sure you follow this step very carefully and weave in the ends of the center of your flower, because we started with a magic ring and there is a possibility the magic ring will open if we don't weave in the ends properly. So I always make sure I go through the stitches 3 times in order to make sure this is very well closed. So now after you weave in all the ends, we can start making our squares. And for this, we're gonna work behind the petals and through that slip stitch from round number 2. And we're going to work at the back of the stitch in order to start making the square. So I'm going to attach the new color. In this case, it's the cream, because the cream color is going to be used for all the squares. And remember to attach this color carefully. And as I said before, we're going to work at the back of the stitch as if you were making a back post. So we're going through the back post of the stitch, and I'm gonna change 5. And the first chain is going to count as a single crochet. And then I'm gonna miss a petal and go into the next stitch. And as you can see here, I'm going through the back post of the stitch to create a single crochet. And this is a sequence I'm gonna repeat. I'm gonna make 4 chains, and then I'm going through the back post of the stitch and work a single crochet. And I'm gonna repeat this all along our flower. So here you can see how I'm going through the back post and I'm working a normal single crochet. And this is gonna be our base to create the squares. And here on this side, where you don't have a defined slip stitch, here, because here is the join of the rounds, we're gonna go through there anyway, and you're gonna work a single crochet through the back post of the stitch. So remember, the stitch there is not really defined, but you can see it anyways. And then you're gonna work 4 chains as normal, and then go to the next stitch in order to continue your sequence. And when you finish to finish the round, we're going to make a slip stitch into that first chain from the initial 5 chains of the round. And this is the first round of the square completed, and you should have 6 arches in total behind the petals of the flowers. And this is gonna be the base where you are going to work the square of the flower. And this is how the flower looks like. You can see there, and at the back you have the arches. Now to start round number 2, we're going to move with a slip stitch to the next arch available, and we're going to work 3 chains. And then we're going to work 5 double crochet all into that same space. And after working the 5 double crochet, you're going to work a double crochet 2 together over that same space and the next space available. So here is the first double crochet 2 together. So you will have the 5 double crochet and the double crochet 2 together. So I'm going to repeat this sequence all around our flower. So here I'm working the 5 double crochet, and to make the double crochet 2 together, I'm going to start making a normal double crochet, but I won't close it, and then I will go to the next space and start a new double crochet, and then I'm going to close it all together. So this is how our work should be looking by now, and I'm going to repeat this sequence all along the arches of the previous round. And then I'm going to work 6 double crochet into the last arch of the flower. And we're going to locate the 3rd chain from the beginning, and I'm going to work a slip stitch to close the round. And this is the end of round number 2. To start round number 3, we're going to work 4 chains, and these 4 chains are going to count as the first treble, and then I'm going to work 1 treble into the next space. And remember, we're going to yarn over twice to make a treble crochet. Then I'm going to work 2 chains and work 2 trebles into the same space. And this is going to be our first corner of the square. Each corner is going to be 2 groups of 2 trebles separated by 2 chains, all into the same space. And then we're going to work 1 double crochet into the next 8 stitches from the previous round. And these 8 double crochet are going to count as one side of the square. So here I have the 8 double crochet, and now I'm going to work another corner space. For this, I'm going to work 2 trebles all into the same space. So here's the first treble. Now I'm making the second one. and I'm gonna do 2 chains, and then I'm going to work 2 more trebles all into the same space. And this is how we created another corner space. And this is how our square is looking so far. As you can see, the flowers are popping out and we're creating the base of our square. And this is the back of our flower. Now we're going to repeat this sequence all along in order to complete round number 4. So I will go ahead and complete the sequence until I get to the end of the square. I'm now working the last double crochet of the round, and then I'm gonna locate the 4th chain from the beginning and I'm gonna close with a slip stitch. And this is round number 3 completed. Now I'm going to move with a slip stitch to the next chain space. So I'm gonna work 1 slip stitch into the next treble and into the chain space. So we will start our work from the chain space. And I'm gonna work 3 chains. And then I'm gonna work 1 double crochet, 2 chains, and 2 more double crochet. And this is going to be the first corner space of our square. And then I'm going to work 1 double crochet into each stitch available until I reach the next corner space. Here I'm working the last double crochet before the corner space, and when I reach to the corner space, I'm going to work 2 double crochet, 2 chains, and 2 double crochet all into the same space. And this is going to be the second corner space of the round. And this is the first side of our square. And now I'm going to continue working this sequence all along the square in order to finish round number 4. So we're going to work 1 double crochet into each side of the square, and we're going to work 2 double crochet and 2 chains and 2 double crochet all into the same space in each corner space. So I'm going to go ahead and continue working this way until I get to the end. I'm almost at the end of the round, and as you can see, it can be a bit difficult to place the last 2 double crochet of the round as we worked a slip stitch before, so make sure you don't forget to work those double crochet. Then I'm going to locate the 3rd chain from the beginning and I'm going to work 1 slip stitch there. And then I'm going to cut the yarn. So this is how your square should look like by now. It's only 4 rounds in total. And as you can see, we have 4 sides and 4 corner spaces. After you made all the squares for your blanket, I'm going to show you how to join them together. First, we're going to join them horizontally, and then we're going to work all the vertical sides. We're going to use the cream color and a tapestry needle. And to know how much yarn you will need to sew them together, you're going to count 2 or 3 times the sides of the square, and you're going to use that yarn and a tapestry needle in order to join them. And after you have your yarn and your tapestry needle, we're going to use a whip stitch in order to create a nice effect for the blanket. You're going to place your 2 squares facing the right side, and then you're going to attach the yarn to the corner space of the square. And when you do this, you have to make sure you go through both sides of the square. You're going to go through both stitches of each square in order to join them together. Here you can see clearly how to do it. And what I do is to create a knot in order to make sure this yarn won't unravel. So now it's secure. I can start working the whip stitch to join the squares. So I'm going to go through both stitches like you are seeing here. One side and the other side in order to complete the joins. Here I'm almost at the end of the squares. And as you can see, I should have cut more yarn in order to do the joins. So make sure you have enough yarn to do this. And now I need to join the corner spaces. And when I'm done doing that, I'm going to secure the yarn again. And this is how the right side is looking. Now you're going to continue attaching squares horizontally until you have a line of 7 squares all attached together. So you're going to repeat this with all your squares. And after that, you're going to join the vertical sides together. And we're going to use the same method than before. You're going to face the right sides of the square together. So the wrong side should be facing you. And we're going to use the whip stitch in order to create the blanket. I'm going to attach the new yarn in order to start sewing the squares together. And I will continue working the whip stitch across until all the squares are joined together and our blanket is finished. I wanted to show you this part as it's very important. So make sure you attach the corner spaces together, and also make sure you go through the joins where you can see I'm going now. as there's no like a definite stitch. And then you go through again the corner space. And then you're going to continue working normally until you have all your squares attached. So now I have all my squares joined together. This is only an example. You're obviously going to have more squares in order to create the blanket. And after you join them all together, this is going to be the front of our blanket. And this is how the back side is going to look. So you have to make sure you weave in all the ends. And then after this, we're going to work on the border of the blanket. For this, I'm going to attach the color cream in any corner space of your blanket. And as usual, I'm going to make a knot. And here I'm going to start working 3 chains, which are going to count as the first double crochet. And into that corner space, I'm going to work another double crochet. And I'm going to work 1 double crochet into each stitch available from your squares. So as you can see here, I'm going to place 1 double crochet into each stitch until I reach the next chain space. And I'm going to place 1 double crochet into that chain space and another double crochet into the join of the squares. And another double crochet into the next chain space. Then I'm going to continue working 1 double crochet into each stitch available. And I'm going to continue working this way until I reach the next corner space of the blanket. Here I'm working the last double crochet before the corner space. So in the corner space, I'm going to work 2 double crochet, 2 chains, and 2 double crochet all into the same space to create that corner space. And this is a sequence I'm going to repeat all along the blanket in order to complete round number 1 of the border. So I'm going to work 1 double crochet in each stitch available of the blanket, and then I'm going to work a corner space into each corner of the blanket. And then you're going to work 2 double crochet into the last corner space and 2 chains to complete that corner space. And you're gonna join with a slip stitch into the 3rd chain from the beginning of the round. To start round number 2 of the border, we're going to chain 6. And we're going to work a slip stitch into the 3rd chain from the hook. And this is going to be our first picot stitch. And the first 3 chains are going to count as the first double crochet of the round. And then we're going to repeat this sequence all along the blanket. So we're going to work 1 double crochet into the following stitch, and we're going to work 3 chains, and we're going to do a slip stitch into the 3rd chain from the hook, and this is a picot stitch. And you're going to repeat this all along the blanket in order to create a ruffled border. So we're gonna work 1 double crochet into the next space, work 3 chains, and slip stitch into the 3rd chain from the hook. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue working this way until I reach to the next corner space of the blanket. Now I'm working the last repeat before the corner space of the blanket. So I'm working a picot stitch here. And then for the corner space, I'm going to work 1 double crochet into the chain space, another picot stitch, and I'm going to repeat this 3 times all into the same space. So I'm going to work another double crochet in another picot stitch, and I'm going to do this for 3 times in order to complete the corner space of the blanket. And you're going to continue working this way all along your blanket, and after working the last corner space, you're going to work a slip stitch into the 3rd chain from the beginning 6th chain from the round. And this is going to be the end of your blanket. As you can see, we are creating a ruffled border all along your blanket. So don't worry if you can't get your blanket to stay flat on the borders, because that's the idea, to create a beautiful and wavy ruffled border. I hope you had fun watching this video and making the blanket. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!